Promised prior to the break, I told you we'll have our first guest in studio. And with me, I have Dr. Neals Chitan. He is no stranger to the Spice Morning program. He's always here to update and share on some of the positive messages and programs that he is involved in on the island. This morning, he's here to speak to his involvement in the Ministry of Education Star Intervention Program, an initiative which is to mitigate high school dropouts, and how that has led to what he's doing now in the community of Mount Horne. Good morning once again to you, Dr. Nicholas.
Good morning, Sherry. It's good to be here with you again one more time.
Very well. The information is always good and uplifting. So give us an update now on your involvement in the Ministry of Education Star Intervention Program, how that is going, and how that caused the link into the positive impact that you're making now during that program in Mount Horne.
Right. Well, I came back to Grenada after finishing St. Kitts and got involved with the Ministry of Education. The Minister of Education, Minister Emily Pierre, she has a heart for high school dropout. That's one of her areas she's grieved about. We see sometimes hundreds of children coming into Form 1, and then sometimes half or just a little over half graduating. And so with that heart for that, it was the Star Intervention Program was her brainchild really. And it was really meant to look at a couple of schools in the St. Andrew area.
Okay.
But of course COVID mashed that up, kind of a thing like that. And so they decided to focus on one school, which is the Grenville Secondary. And for me, I thought it was a blessing for that school because what we were able to bring, the social empowerment we were able to bring to that school. So basically, we identified young men, especially with emphasis on young men, who are at risk with dropping out of school, and put together a whole program that would motivate, empower, educate them about the importance of finishing school. It started with a three-week camp, powerful camp, where they lived in-house, and afterward we took them away from the school into a satellite kind of a campus, if you please, and then we worked with them, not only just in the core subject area, but a lot of social skills.
Yes, because I was going to ask you what that actual program entails. What is it you do with the young men?
Yeah, well, we do, of course, you understand, to empower them, the decision making, to empower them focusing and stuff, is a lot of social skills. So that was the heartbeat of the program. But of course, we want to also, we don't want them to be retarded or kept back in the core subjects, right? Most of them came from Form 4, the Form 4 area.
Fort Farmers.
Yeah, Fort Farmers. So we had teachers coming in, right, in the specialized areas, teaching them. But we also had things like special areas like electronics, art, sports that they would enjoy, so they could grow in those areas too. Then the idea was after we worked with them for about 6 months, then we'd read to get them back into their school, right? And so where we are now, that reintegration has happened. Of course, as you see, we are coming to the end of the school year, and one of the things that, as I segue into the community, one of the concerns that the minister had, of course, Mr. Pierre, was the impact of the community on them. After we would have done all this empowerment and what have you, then we send them back to the communities, right? And so I spoke to her about an initiative where we could actually involve the community, right? Since we cannot take them away from the community, Sherry, and that's where they were born and raised, right? If we could empower the community and teach them similar concepts to what these boys are learning, then they wouldn't stick out like a sore thumb, like a goody-goody when they go back. There could be a common, thread to speak on. And so we went into, in November, I must let you know that this STAR program was an initiative that was partnered by the RGPF.
Okay.
So as from the beginning, we have great police officers like Inspector Kenneth Bascom, Thomas, Corporal Thomas, And these men, right now, we have on staff from then on, Constable Larry Williams, who is an awesome officer, There we try to help police officers to understand that it's not so much about enforcement, but we're trying to get in the heart.
Okay. So before you go further into the conversation, what would you say were some of the mitigating factors that actually were frustrating the youngsters, to that point where you could have pinpointed that if intervention is not done now, they may not continue school, or maybe some of them may have already dropped out of school. So what were some of the underlying factors?
Well, but a lot of them were, as I said, home issues, community issues, social issues, just basically their perception of who they are, right? Some of them were younger, were getting involved already, younger, like even Form 2s and Form 3s, right? And I want to stick opinion by saying that I think there is a strong need to have high schoolers. If we're going to mitigate against high school dropouts, we have to start in the primary schools, right? The grade 6, Sharon, there's a serious transition that happened from grade 6 into Form 1, where students are seniors in grade 6. They got this, right? And then they turn juniors in being picked upon. They have to reassert themselves. They have to find new peer groups. And sometimes, if these boys are a little older phenotypically, when they look and the age, what usually happens, they might have friends in Form 4 and Form 3. And even in Form 1, they gravitate towards these friends, right? And so, guess what? They influence of that. So there are quite a lot, and we have been trying to mitigate that. We have been trying to work with them, letting them know that they're not alone in the struggle. I mean, that's why I share my story, Sharon, because I've been there, right? I've been there, and look at who I am today, right? God has blessed me. I had teachers, had parents who believed, right? And we want them to know we believe. So it's not just about with them. Sometimes, if there are issues in the home, we go.
Okay.
We go. If there are issues in the community, we go. Right? We cannot protect them and immunize them against everything.
Right. But you can assist in some
We can assist in some areas. So we are up 24/7.
Okay.
Right? Trying to make sure that these young men. So what we've done is to go to the Moncton community. And why Moncton, you may ask?
That's right.
Because out of the boys that we had, most of them came from Moncton and the surrounding areas. So the Paracletes, the Lafayette area. Okay, so, and even if they come from Paraclete and Lafayette, Moncton seemed to be an attraction. So they would still hang out with their friends in Moncton. Okay, so in November last year, the Eastern Division of the RGPF, under the then leadership of Superintendent John Charles, had kind of a community town hall meeting out in Moncton, and I was invited. I sat there and I listened to the concerns, and I was asked to speak, and I told them what we do. I told them about our project Stop and Think, which you've heard so many about.
Yes.
And it's important, Sharon, because we as human beings, we are doing things, and then we live in the valley of regret for the rest of our lives. Sometimes it's for a lifetime of regrets, right? I mean, I worked in the juvenile center. I've worked in HMP, and when you go there, people are so regretful. They say, "Oh man, now it hits me what I've done." So in Project Stop and Think, psychologically and physiologically, we try to show them the importance of creating a space, a kind of a park area, that when you get hot and angry, and to use our words, vex,
you take a pause.
Take a pause. And Sharon, that's not anything new. Grandma used to say, what? Count 10, right? Mm-hmm. Right? Count 10. But we try to show the science behind it, right? And so I spoke about it in Moncton. And you know what? It was a community that challenged me. The boys that were there from Moncton, and I applaud them. I really applaud them. The junior Hazelwood, my matter of fact, the reason I'm calling junior the bigger, he's the one that challenged me and said to me, Dr. Chitan, don't talk the talk, walk the talk. Okay. And I said to him, bro, I'm a walker, right? And so what happened, Sharon, earlier in the year, I actually went on the block because my strength is on the block.
Okay.
That's not my strength. What I have on here today, I rarely wear it because I'm going to I'm the guest speaker at graduation today. When I leave here, I go over there. But I'm a jeans guy, I'm a sneakers guy, on the block with the guys, showing them, right? I mean, a lot of them don't have someone to mentor them, right? And so we went to, my wife, by my way, Ann Chitan, she's a part of this. And so we went on the block in Mount Horne, sat there, put up my projector, and these boys heard something that they never heard before. That they have the potential, they got the God-given brains. Einstein told us, we heard that geniuses don't use 15% of their brain. Einstein don't use 50% of their brain. Our boys have a lot more brain than that. But nobody showed them that. We told them you can't pass the exam, so you're a failure.
Yeah.
And so we went there, and we had about 50 people coming out.
Okay.
And from there, we launched a program it's called Project Stop and Think, Mount Horne 2021.
Okay, so how many of them are actually in
Right
that
now, we have
program?
about between 42 and 45 coming out every Thursday.
And the sessions run for how long?
The sessions run from 6 to 7:30. Sometimes it goes later because their involvement.
So that particular session involves what? Is it lecturing, interactive discussions?
It involves lecturing. A lot of, you know what? The word lecturing sounds so dull. You know, I'm a high impact motivation speaker.
Okay.
That's what I do, right? So I have to use all the charm I have, all the charisma I have. I have to swing the words together in such a way to captivate them. And Sharon, nobody disturbs. And that's why I sometimes go up against status quo. Because when we say things like children cannot sit in class and listen, when we say children have a short attention span, but Sharon, when they play PUBG or they're playing Free Fire on the phones, they are locked in for 2 hours. And if you come and say, get off the phone, they get angry with you. Because they're locked in. That's attention right there. And to see them in our sessions, to see them, because we're using sight and sound, of course, we're using the screen and the projector. These children are locked in. And when we finish, sometimes can't leave because they want to discuss, right?
Right.
We get into the heart. People have come and said, whoa, I've never seen this mix. How could you have primary school children sitting there listening a concept, a very high sociological concept, but we could break it down so that they understand it, and young adults. So we have done 10 out of 12 sessions.
Okay.
And we're headed into a spectacular graduation ceremony where all these participants will receive a Canadian social skill certificate.
Okay.
We are not leaving them alone, Sharon, because some of them have shown interest in developing themselves. I'm happy to let you know we have 2 of such of these young men who have shown interest in going to Canada in the food picking program.
In the farm program.
And I've already touched base with Canada. They have already sent us to get the applications. They've already filled it out, and it's under processing now. So it's not just about bringing them up and then leave them and go, but it's trying to make it work for them, right? And as I'm speaking, one of these boys that is listening right now.
Well, very well. Well, congratulations to you, and keep it up.
Yeah.
So after you said you have 2 more sessions and then the actual graduation.
Mm-hmm.
But out of the boys that are involved now, you have primary, you have secondary. Are there any within the mix that will have to be reintegrated into the education system?
Yes, a matter of fact, we use education broadly, right? Because normally what we do when we say education, we talk about math and physics and biology and English, right? Anything that offers training to an individual to better themselves is an education process. So we have a young man now who is hooked up and doing, as we speak, furniture building,
Okay.
right? We have one that's going to Newlo. And because what we want to do is to help them discover their innate gifts and talents so we don't frustrate them. What happened, we try to push young people somewhere where they don't want to go. right? And so they rebel. But if you could look at them and figure, what talent does this boy have or this girl have, right? And how you could use that to their advantage. So we have a young man doing electronics right now. And a matter of fact, whereas he didn't want to go to high school, he's excited. He's leaving Munich to go out and go off, and he's there every day, right? You know, because there is something you tap into what he wants to do. So when we say education, yes, we have some that we are going to place again in high schools, right? Sometimes we have to place them in a different high school because environment may not be the best for them, right? Some going to training, vocational training. Some would be like doing work with local businesses, you know, training there too, right? So we are trying to help them to develop whatever skill that they have, so they could be contributing, respectful, independent. I like that independent piece, right? And take care of their lives.
So before I let you off, bro, interesting stuff as to what's happened with those initiatives. But what next after this program? There is another one in the lineup for our next community.
Okay. Working in tandem with RGPF. RGPF here, and let me just say hi to the leadership of Commissioner Martin, right? I didn't know the gentleman before until I got here. But working with him, I found him to be a very astute gentleman. He has already identified other communities. So we are really creating a model in Mount Horne that we could take other places, right? And the whole concept there is to socially rebrand Mount Horne. You know, I have with me, probably camera can't pick it up, but I have with me here, right. It's a billboard size thing. And it says Mount Horne, the place where greats are born. Instead of asking how many charges we had in Mount Horne, how many knifings we had, why don't we ask who's a politician from there? And then we say, oh, Delma Thomas, of course, right? Who is a doctor from there? Who are the teachers from there? But hold on, we are not only doing teachers and academics. What about the tradesmen? What about the great farmers? So on that billboard would be all these categories where we list the names. So when you come into it's an 8x4. And by the way, let me thank Sam from Grain Graphics, because they are actually coming aboard and donate the sign. Our t-shirts are partially donated by Grenada Tees, Richie Donald, and the tent and all the chairs and all the equipment for the graduation on the 18th would be donated by Dr. Clinton Lewis of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. They want to be part of that, right? So we have great corporate citizens who are partnering with us to make this a great thing. It's going to be spectacular. GIS, you got to be there. GBN, you got to be there. Because you know, Sharon, when the knives are being pushed and the guns are being fired, the media find themselves.
So now that there is something positive.
Yes.
Should find it as well.
Yes. So it's going to be something spectacular. We're looking forward. Please, all there, help us to pray for the rain to hold up, right? Because it's going to be a spectacular event. And we hope to roll it out in your community, wherever you are too. We want to come by and help to pull up our people, especially our boys. Ladies and gentlemen, it seems as that there is a slippery slope. Once a boy cannot matriculate to high school, he sends a failure, he can't pass exams, then he ends up on the bridge, he ends up smoking some weed, drinking, because he's frustrated. And then there's no option for him. So what we're trying to do is to let him know, man, you got what it takes. Now the question is, what happens after graduation? We have a process where we'll be training mentors. Okay. So some of our top graduates
can become mentors.
Right. Okay. And so instead of going on a weekly basis, we'll go on a monthly basis, and we'll have a stop and think club. Okay. Where they are going to come with the activities. They have a leader, they have a president, and so it takes in a life of its own within the community. right? And but they're looking forward to it. They're looking forward to it.
Well, Dr. Neals Chitan, we want to thank you very much for coming and sharing with us here this morning. We wish you all the success in the programs. As you said, we do hope that you get good weather and that you have a really good graduation. We look forward to maybe sometime after the graduation or before the graduation, if we can have a couple of you guys, be a part of the program so they can
Definitely.
speak of
The
the
impact,
experience.
yeah.
Okay. So viewers, this is where we take a break. We'll be back with much more after this.